Starting a brand new world in Minecraft can be very slow at first, we all know that. So, in this video, I'm gonna show you 5 super easy starter farms that you can already build on your first days of playing and get all the important resources to start your survival world strong. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the most important thing in every survival world, and that would be food. Here is how you create a very simple, fully automatic crop farm. Start out by removing one block and filling up that hole with water. On top of the water, we're now going to place a composter, followed by a normal building block on top of that composter. Against this normal building block, we're now going to place a couple of torches just to make sure that the farm is neatly lit up later. Next, it's time to make our crop field. For that, take a hoe and move out by 4 blocks to all sides from the water. Use the hoe to turn this entire area into farmland now. Once the field is done, you now want to wall the whole thing in. To be more precise, the wall should be 2 blocks high. To make sure that no mobs will spawn on top of the wall and no spiders can get in from the outside, I would recommend adding a layer of slabs on top and extending them outward by 1 block. However though, what would be a farm without crops? So now it is time to plant our food. I personally chose carrots, but you can also use potatoes, and later on if you have more resources, you could also expand this farm with a minecart collection system under it, which would then allow you to grow wheat too. For today though, we're gonna stick with the carrots. Now it is time for our collection system. Go to one of the 4 sides and delete one section in the middle of the wall. Then dig out 2 blocks on the side to put a double chest in for our loot. Connect the chest with 2 hoppers like you see right here. Now, this step is very important. On top of this hopper, you want to place down a rail with a hopper minecart on top of the rail. You can then delete the rail again so that the hopper minecart falls on top of the hopper. Then place a temporary block over the hopper minecart and repeat the exact same step. Put a rail on top, add another hopper minecart, and then delete everything so that it falls right on top. Now position a slab like this just to make sure that the villagers can't move through here. Around this 1 block in the middle here, you want to build a little enclosure just like I show right here. Next, time to bring in our workforce. Go to a nearby village with a boat and capture 1 unoccupied villager. Bring them over near the farm, and then when you delete the boat, he will automatically go through the gap in the wall and turn into a farmer. Once he's in, you can go and close the wall again. The final step would be to get a second villager into the middle of this enclosure. You can do this however you like, however I think the easiest way to do this would be to place a workbench block in the middle and then a temporary staircase so they can move in. Now, the farmer villager is gonna farm the food and he will try to share it with his companion. However, because the hopper minecarts are exactly in the way, they will pick up all the food he throws and put it in the chest for us. By the way, if you wanted to, you could also build a second field exactly on the opposite side to double your hourly income. But of course, food is not the only thing that you need to comfortably survive in your world. One resource that you can basically never have enough of would also be iron. So, let me show you how to make a super easy and beginner-friendly iron farm with only these very basic blocks. For the build itself, we need around about a 20 by 20 blocks area, so it's not too crazy, but very important, do not build this near to any villages. Ideally, you want to keep at least a 50-ish block distance to the next village. For the build itself, we start out by preparing a 5 by 5 block area on the ground. Around those blocks, you then want to build walls, which have to be 4 blocks high, and you can also already put a roof on it if you want, but for that, please use normal blocks like I do here and no slabs just yet. However though, keep a little entrance open for the time being. Up next, we take a shovel and use the right-click function to turn the grass into path. With this path, we want to go out 8 blocks in every direction from the farm, and then turn that entire area into path blocks. This way, we make sure that no iron golem can spawn outside the farm. Now, the top platform of the farm, we now want to wall that in, but not with normal blocks, but instead with walls like I show right here. These walls need to be 3 blocks high. Next, you want to place down 3 signs on the wall in these exact positions right here, so that afterwards you can place a lava bucket in the corner and the signs will prevent the lava from flowing out. In the opposite corner, you then want to place a water bucket, but don't place it against the wall because it's going to flow out or something. Put it on the floor instead. You're now going to have a water flow that looks like this. This one block without water on it, you want to delete that and also the one next to it, because this is where we put our collection system. Place a chest in this position right here from the outside so you can open and close it, and then from the inside, you want to make a hopper pointing into that chest. This is where we're later going to have our loot. Now, as our next step, we want to go back into the bottom room and place down 5 beds inside of here. In addition, also place down 1 or 2 torches just to have a little bit of light, and very important, to spawn-proof the area inside of this room, you now want to cover the entire remaining area of the floor in this room with carpet. I actually decided to put a glass window in on the side here, just so that we can later look into the farm and see what's going on, but for your own world, you don't have to do that. And now, we have already reached the final step. All we need to do now is bring in 5 villagers. The, in my opinion, best way to do so is to take 5 boats, go to a nearby village, and trap the villagers inside the boats. You can then attach a lead to the boat and just pull them towards your farm. Once you have all 5 boats placed in front of the entrance of the farm, you're now going to get the villagers in with this simple trick. Wait until nightfall, and then simply delete the boats. Because it is nighttime, the villagers will automatically run in to be able to sleep in the beds. Oh yeah, and just in case they get stuck and can't move in like you see right here, then that's likely because of the carpets. Just remove 1 or 2 at the door for a moment so that the villagers can come in. And once all 5 are inside, you can go and close up the farm. While this is the simplest and the easiest way that you could possibly ever make an iron farm, there is a bit of a problem. And that is that the rates here are unfortunately not as high as they could be if we compare it to a standard iron farm with a zombie. So, before we end the video, let me also show you how you can super easily transform this beginner farm into a zombie-driven version without having to change all too much. First of all, for the zombie version of this farm, we actually don't need 5 villagers, just 3. So, if you want to, you can go inside your room and make it a bit smaller with only 3 beds and a 3x3 layout. If you just keep it with the 5 though, it's also no problem. Next, on the opposite side of the farm, the side where the beds aren't, you want to add another little room like this. The only important thing to note here is that the roof of this room needs to be made with bottom slabs so that nothing can spawn on top of it, and also you need to make a little door like this leading into the villager room. Up next, we want to catch our zombie. The easiest way to do this would be to bring a boat and then wait until a zombie follows you at nighttime. While you're running away, just place the boat in front of him, and then he will get stuck in it. All you need to do now is attach a lead to the boat and then pull the boat into the quote-unquote zombie room that we just built, while you yourself are going to run through the door. This way, the boat is going to get stuck near to the door, and if it is in this position that you see right here, you can go and take the lead off. We're now just going to leave the boat with the zombie here forever. However though, to make sure that no villager can get close to the zombie, we now want to place a trapdoor at the top part of the door like this. Then we go out of the farm, close up the zombie room, but we're going to make a 1-block hole into the wall right here. Through this hole then, we're going to place a lever against the wall with which we can then flap open and close the trapdoor. This is very important. Now, also here, if you haven't already, now would be the time to get 3 villagers into their bedroom. Just in order for this to work, make sure that the trapdoor is flapped down so that the villagers can't see the zombie. Otherwise, they would just not go into there. The way that this farm works now is, when you switch the lever and flap the door up, then the villagers will see the zombie and start panicking. Panicking villagers spawn an iron golem once every 30 seconds, however, they do need to be able to sleep every 20 minutes. So what you need to do is, once in a while, just flick the lever, make the trapdoor go down so that the villagers don't see the zombie anymore, which means they can go to bed and the farm continues working. Later on in your playthrough, you can also go into the Nether and build a daylight sensor to automate this whole process, but hey, we're talking about a day 1 farm here, so for beginners, the lever works just fine. And in case you want to know how the whole thing with the daylight sensor looks, then this right here is how we modify the farm. First of all, you have a daylight sensor that you set to night mode so it only puts out a signal when it is dark outside. Next, we want to have a redstone line with 6 redstone blocks connecting into a repeater. It is very important that the line is exactly 6 redstone blocks long, because that will make it that when it is about to get dark, the signal needs a little bit of time to actually make it to the repeater. This ensures that the whole mechanism only fires when it is properly dark outside, when the villagers can actually go to bed. So the rest of the mechanism here is a couple more repeaters all set to maximum delay. In this scenario right here, I took 7, but if you wanted to, you could add more to keep the trapdoor closed for longer if you think that is necessary. And then lastly, we're going to connect this whole line into a comparator on the left side, and then the other side of the signal, the one that comes directly from the repeater, that goes into the back of the comparator. And the rest of the mechanic here is just, a redstone connection to the top of the block on which the trapdoor is positioned. So let's take a look at it again. Right now it is day, the trapdoor is open, the villagers are scared. If we now set it to night, then we will get a signal, the trapdoor closes for a moment, everybody goes to sleep, then it opens automatically again, and they are scared again, and are now able to spawn another iron golem. Congratulations! This is now fully automatic, and it will work like a charm. And as always, if you could leave a quick like for the video, that would really help me with the YouTube algorithm, so cheers so much for your support. And in case you don't have access to enough villagers to make the whole iron farm work in the first place, let's talk about the next one on our list, and that would be a very easy to make villager breeder so that you always have enough villagers around. This right here is what you need, and now let's check it out. Okay, for this villager breeder, there are multiple different designs available out there. However, for this video, I chose the one that needs the absolute cheapest materials. Starting out, we do by making a door frame with normal building blocks. Into this door frame, we're then going to position the most expensive block of the entire build, which would be just a standard iron door. To open and close it, place a lever on the side. Next, out of the door frame, we want to make a small little 1x1 fall pit like you see in the background right here. Doesn't need to be all that high because we don't want our villagers to take unnecessary damage. The top of this fall pit now needs to look like this. One normal building block, and then on the other 3, we want to place bottom slabs. Against that normal block, you're now going to place a fence, followed by 4 beds that you're going to position exactly like this. Over the beds then, you want to place trapdoors. Once that's done, take some temporary blocks and make a little staircase out of them so that later the villagers can move into the farm. Now, we need to bring in 2 villagers. The, in my opinion, easiest way to do that would be to find a nearby village and sneakily kidnap them with a boat. I'm sure they don't mind. Now, position the 2 villagers at the base of the farm and wait until nightfall. Once it is night, delete the 2 boats, which will then make the villagers automatically seek out the beds and walk into your farm to sleep. Once they're in, you can delete the temporary blocks again. To be able to access the farm yourself, build a ladder on the side like this. And now, all you need to do to breed your villagers is move up the ladder and feed them with, for example, a bunch of carrots. Once they have enough food, they will start breeding and the baby villagers will fall through the bottom. You can then just go to your lever, open the iron door to let them out and bring them to wherever you need them. Another item that you can never have enough of would be lava buckets, no matter if you use them as fuel in your furnace or to build various different farms. And luckily, you can make an infinite lava farm in just about 1 minute. Here is how you do that. First of all, start by placing a row of cauldrons. You can really make it as big as you like. I personally here only use 5. Then build 4 blocks high, like I do right here, and place a row of normal building blocks right over these cauldrons. These floating blocks you now want to turn into a little platform. I personally use slabs and glass blocks to make it look nice, but you can really use whichever materials you like here. Then, on this platform, we will put down lava and build a roof over it. I personally use slabs for this so that no mobs can spawn on top of here. And then, all you really gotta do is place down 5 pointed dripstones under the 5 blocks that the lava is on, and as you can see right here, those pointed dripstones will now over time automatically fill up the cauldrons that you can then take the lava from once they're full. Wish you a lot of fun with the smelting. And by the way, if you want to see more great Minecraft guides easily explained, then you might want to think about maybe leaving the channel a sub, because there is so much more to come here. Welcome to the crew! And last but definitely not least, let's talk about mobs. No matter if you want to have mob materials for various purposes, or you just want to have some easy, fast experience, mob XP farms are perfect. There are a bunch of different designs available out there, but this one right here is tried and tested and very easy to make for beginners. First of all, just like most other mob farms, this one needs to be built 128 blocks in the air. I personally built it over an ocean, but you don't have to do that. Once we are 128 blocks up, we want to create a platform to stand on. For this farm design in specific, I would recommend to make it 6 by 13. After the platform is done, place down a double chest in this position right here, followed by 4 hoppers all pointing into the chest. On top of the hoppers, you then want to either place slabs or, like I do right here, campfires, so you can turn this farm into an automatic one if you like. For the time being though, we switch off the campfires with our shovel. Now, take a couple more building blocks and position them on the ground around the outside of the hoppers. This is so that we later don't accidentally get too close to the mobs. Okay, for this next step, it's very important that you get the number of blocks right. Over these building blocks that we just made, we want to go 2 blocks higher. However, the ring in the middle, we delete that again so that we can later attack the mobs from all 4 sides. On top of this quote-unquote floating ring here, you want to go up 20 more blocks. Once you're done with this tower, place down 2 temporary blocks on one side to then make 4 fence gates against them. Then open up the fence gates and delete the temporary blocks. Now, to all 4 sides, you want to create a sort of cross shape going out by 3 blocks. Then go up by 1 block and extend outward by 4 more. Once the cross is done, go into the middle and stand on one of these edges and start building a wall around the whole thing. In the middle, it needs to be 3 blocks high, but on the outside, you only need 2. Lastly, go and add water on the outsides of this cross. In order for the mobs to even run into this trench, we now need to place trapdoors all around this cross and then flap them down. Now, fill up the space between the arms of the cross with more building blocks so that we have a total of 4 platforms like this. Once the platforms are done, go to one of the sides that sticks out and use it to start building a wall around the whole thing. This wall needs to be 2 blocks high. Lastly, we want to prevent spiders from spawning in this farm, so what we do is place down a couple of carpets exactly like I show right here. The first one at the very center, and then make a pattern like this with 2 blocks of free space in all directions. By the way, in case you don't have enough wool to make all those carpets, you could also just use trapdoors instead. And that would be the first finished spawn platform. If you wanted to, you could already go and make a roof out of slabs over the whole thing and have a small little functioning mob farm. However though, if you want to increase the spawn rates, then you could use some more stone and add 2 more spawn platforms on top. However though, important to mention here, this 3 platform design is the maximum you can do by default, otherwise the farm will stop working properly. However, if you want to see a clever solution on how to add even more platforms, then you can also check out the advanced version of this farm with the link up in the cards. And now also don't miss these amazing creeper farms right here for infinite gunpowder. See you next time, and until then, craft well.